Well, thanks for joining us for this very segment. And I guess as a people, we need to know a lot more about ourselves, not only in the sub-region, but also on the continent. The Fula people, or Fulani, are one of the largest ethno-linguistic groups in Africa, numbering approximately, according to what the estimates are, 40 million people in total. They are one of the most widely dispersed and culturally diverse of the peoples of Africa. The Fulani are traditionally nomadic, pastoralists and trading people. Already, we know the protocol of the Economic Community of West African States promotes free movement of people and goods within the 16 member nations. So it means that everybody can move across each other's borders. What does it mean, though, when sometimes we've had discriminations because well, they are permitted to cross each other's borders and reside for a maximum of 90 days without a visa. Some Fulanis who had cattle, though, from neighboring countries into Ghana under the ECOWAS Protocol on Free Movement have on numerous occasions engaged in a number of activities deemed to be criminal in many respects, including the destruction of food crops, setting fire to bushes, alleged rape as well as armed robbery incidents. Now, we have a lot more we have to talk about. And so we have the head of the Fulani Association in Ghana. They call it the Sudubaba Fulani Association based here in Ghana. And we have Usman Bari in the studio. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And you're dressed elegantly. Is it a traditional dress or is it just
it's part of tradition. We have so many of them.
All right.
Yeah, so this is one of them.
So as the president of the Sudubaba Fulani Association in Ghana.
That's right.
What basically do you do?
Well, basically we organize ourselves and try to address issues of common interest and try to promote our culture and know ourselves better and link up with the totality of Fulani ethnicity group in Africa and in the world. That's what we do.
So you tend to organize communal debates and discussions and things?
We tend to organize meetings, we address issues, we organize marriages, outdooring ceremonies, funerals, and also advise people of what to do to promote their culture educationally, economically, and socially. We do all these things. And basically, we're trying to enlighten them. You know, we have challenges, especially the pastoral Fulanis, vis-a-vis educating their children. It's a problem. We have to address this thing squarely, try to enlighten them of the importance of education in this modern time. And this will also help them in the livestock activities they find themselves engaged now and then, which is going with the time. They have to try to adjust their lifestyle so that it will match with the requirements.
Originally, Fulanis, where did they come from? Or where are they based?
Well, I think you mentioned it in passing that the Fulanis are widely, dispersed from the west and to East Africa and even to South Africa. Originally, Fulanis came from Mali and Senegal and Mauritania. So if I go by that, you can see the medieval empires of West Africa. We have the Toklor Empire, we have the Ghana Empire, we have the Mali Empire, we have the Songhai Empire. All those empires of the medieval ages where Fulanis played part and parcel of its establishment. So way back to 2000 before Christ, the first empire with the Toklor Empire was established by the Fulanis. And in the 4th century, the first Ghana Empire in the 4th century BC after Christ was also established by the Fulanis. And 11th century, the Ghana, which the Ghanaians today believe that their ancestors migrated from, was also established by the Fulanis. So the Songhai Empire also was partially contributed by the Fulanis for its establishment, and the Mali Empire and what have you. And then when you come down to 17th century, the Osman Danfodio of Nigeria also established the largest ever known empire of Africa south of the Sahara was established by the Fulanis, so and so off. And then if you see the spread of Islam as a religion in the Africa south of the continent, 90% of the contributors to promote Islam in this part of the world were Fulani scholars, and up to now they're doing it.
So from what you're saying we have the Fulanis as categorized, but we have different...
Well, to come to your point, the anthropologists, they divide the Fulanis into two parts. We have what we call the sedentary Fulanis. They are the urban Fulanis. They stay in towns, you know, urbanizing their life and what have you. And then we have the pastoral Fulanis, or the nomadic Fulanis. So these are the anthropological, you know, decision, or the dividing the Fulanis into that group, the sedentary and the pastoral Fulanis. And these pastoral Fulanis are mostly engaged in livestock activities in the bush.
Still?
They are still, of course, they are, because they are associated with this, you know, cattle breeding and what have you. So still, they engage in those activities up to now. These are the pastoral Fulanis and the nomadic Fulanis. But the urban Fulanis, you see, we have them all over, right from Senegal, Gambia, Mauritania, Mali,
Niger,
Burkina Faso, Niger, Nigeria, Cameroon, Central Africa.
What about Chad?
Well, Chad is Central Africa.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, it's Central Africa, and right down to the Southern Africa. You have where you have the Burundis, Rwandese, and then you have the Hutus and the Tutsis. The Tutsis are basically Fulanis by origin. Though now they differ because of the religious
You mean anthropologically?
Anthropologically, yeah, this is what I'm telling you. This is what actually the anthropological
I'd always, because I grew up in a community where I had a lot more Muslims dominating as well. So I thought the Fulanis would always be the light-skinned ones. And
well, not necessarily. Like I told you, the anthropologists, they are divided into two groups. They have the sedentary Fulanis, so the urban Fulanis. Mostly, they are not necessarily, you know, white skins, but they have black, shiny skins, you know, sort of triangle faces, boy eyes and eyes, and then they have structure, you know, lens tall and what have you, not so bulgy and what have no. So this
your frame is lean?
Well, mostly they are lean.
Yeah,
mostly
tall?
they are lean. Yeah, they are tall. They are tall.
They have long
lean.
lips and things like that.
Yes, and then they have bald eyes, and then we have long face, and they have, you know, silky hairs, and their structure is already, there are peculiarities of some Fulanis that we have. And then we have those fair-skinned Fulanis also, mixed with them. They have, because the Fulanis, if you look by anthropological studies, they are cross-race between the Negroes and the non-Negroes of Africa, what we call the Caucasians, which migrated from India, from Persia, from Ethiopia, and what have you. They mixed up with them. So this is actually what brought about the Fulani race into existence. So we have the two sides. So we have the two, but by profession, and they are divided, like I told you, those who engage in the livestock and those who engage in scholarly work, you know, business, farming, and what have you, and the rulership and all this.
They are sedentary. They are not pastoralists.
No, they are sedentary. They are not pastoralists. But then again, they have relationship with those who are nomadic and what we call pastoralists. You know, they have common language, common culture, common feature, peculiarities, you know, and common history, and they have all.
You know, sometimes when you get to the streets of Accra, you get to see that sometimes these fair, light-skinned people.
Well, people take it forward, but this is generalization. In fact,
they are not Fulani.
They are not Fulani. Those people are Tuaregs. These people are Tuaregs. They don't know anything about Fulani culture, language, and tradition.
Their language is different.
No, it's quite different.
What language? Sometimes some of them speak Arabic.
No, they speak what we call Tuareg.
Okay.
Yeah, the Tuareg, and they have some people, we call them Buzu, I don't know if you know them. They are more like the
I know about the Tuaregs, though.
The Tuaregs, they are the Tuaregs.
They are in the Sahelian regions. And
no, not Sahel, they're Saharan. They're actually the dominant of the Saharan regions. You find the fair-colored, they are Tuaregs. They are Tuaregs, but they are not Fulanis. They have nothing to do with the Fulanis.
The language of the Fulanis, how unique is it?
Well, the language, we have the language, the Fulani, we call them, in fact, we have, you know, various names for Fulanis. We call them Fulanis by the English, and then with the French, they call them Pearl, and they call them Taklor, and they call them Fula. So these are all names referred to the Fulanis. And then the language is called Fulfulde. Fulfulde. This is a common. Wherever you come, once you are a Fulani, you speak the Fulani language, it means you are speaking the Fulfulde language. So they have, and this Fulfulde language, they have the varieties, it's a dialect. But basically the language is one, but the dialect varies from one area to another.
So you can have variations in some pronunciations?
Yeah, well, in some pronunciations, some expressions also and phrases.
Do we have formal written?
Well, they use, originally they used Arabic scripts. Because, you know, when you look in the history of the Fulanis, when they came here, before the advent of colonial powers and what have you now, they were the scholars who promote Islamic culture and tradition and language, and they use Arabic script. So through that Arabic script, they can write also their language. When the Latin alphabet came into existence to their knowledge, they also now use that alphabet to write. So
you have a
language.
mixture of Arabic and Latin script?
Yeah, of course. That is why in Fulani language today, in Latin, for instance, in English, we have about 24 alphabets. Yeah, but the Fulani, they have up to 32 alphabets.
In English?
In English.
26.
Yeah, 26 English. But then the Fulani, they have up to 32. So these 32, they have variations. They have some certain, you know, phonetic creation of the sounds in order to produce the language that they want to do. Perhaps this is not known to the Arabs and neither known to the Europeans. So it is their own invention to go with their language.
Okay, so they make a lot of entry, the Fulanis make a lot of entry into countries across the sub-region, right?
They make a lot of entries.
Yes. They enter the country.
Well. Yeah, as I
because I'm getting towards
you are coming to the point. Now, Fulani, they are nomadic. The pastoralians are nomadic, and then they move with their livestock, and they go along the streams where there's water and the pastoral, because their animals have to feed on those pastoral areas. Otherwise, they cannot. That is why their migration, because we are according to some, you know, historians and anthropologists and what have you, their history goes back to about 5,000 years now. Because, you know, desert, what we call the African desert today, the vast desert that divide Africa south of the Sahara and the North Africa, that vast area used to be, a place of water. You know, but it dries out through the passage of time. So that caused the migration of Fulanis from that area, which is originally, today is in Mali, Mauritania, and Senegal. Because of the drought, you know, perennial drought that happens from time to time, they have to migrate with their animals across other areas, and this is where they come today. When we are talking about ECOWAS, for instance, we have 16 countries. Now, out of these 16 countries of ECOWAS, 13 have indigenous Fulani race in them. 13 out of 16. So
your point is we can't just rule them away, can they?
Rule them away how?
Rule them out. So that's the...
Force them out?
No, that they don't exist in specific countries, even though they are cross-border, cross-border people.
Well, if you say cross-border people, they are mostly found on these areas. They are indigenous of those areas. They have
in Ghana, for example, we know that there's what we call the Operation Cowleg.
That's right.
And as a result of that, it's to weed out Fulanis out of people's farms and perhaps lands they have occupied illegally, etc. and many of them are the pastoralists or the nomadic people. Are they Ghanaian citizens? Are they residents?
Well, they are. If you go by the Ghana Constitution.
Were they born in Ghana?
Not even that. They were born in Ghana, not they themselves. Even their ancestors, their grandparents were born in Ghana here.
Okay.
Because
but they are nomadic in Ghana?
They are nomadic in Ghana. They are nomadic in Ghana. If you look what we call in Ghana's handbook, Ghana handbook, you know, Gold Coast handbook, not Ghana handbook, Gold Coast handbook. I mean, the one written in 1928, even earlier and whatever, they were prepared by British and everything. The first censorship conducted in this country, the earliest one was 1911. And this 1911 census covered the Eastern Province, we called them by that time, Eastern Province, not regions and what have you, Eastern Province. Fulanis were found there in great numbers along the Volta River base. So they were there with their livestock and everything. In 1911, they were found there in big numbers, and their greater numbers. 1911, nobody at that time even ever thought of what would be of Ghana today, and they were there as pastorians. They were there with their livestock. So if you are talking about being Ghanaian or not being Ghanaian, by that definition, they are indeed
now,
Ghanaians.
with what is going on with what they call Operation Cowleg and the disagreement landowners tend to have with the pastoralists who are rearing cattle, etc. How are you making sure that doesn't infringe on the rights of your membership or your citizens?
Well, I look at this operation. I said it somewhere. In my interview with some FM stations and whatever. I say, well, this is an arbitrary decision, unilaterally taken by some authorities to try to is in front of people's individual rights and group, which is not does not reflect good image of Ghana internationally. What happened in South Africa recently, we condemn it. All of us, that's what is going on. The xenophobia that the South Africans have shown against some of their African nationals and what. Now it's reoccurring again here in Ghana.
Why?
If you don't take it, because when you try to force people out indiscriminatively, you are not selecting those who committed the offenses and crimes and trying to judge them by the law or court and establish that these people have really committed those crimes, and then you generalize your issues to try to flush out a group of people, making, if you look at the report I have, the people, women, children were screaming because their houses were burnt by soldiers. And
in Ghana?
In Ghana, here. That's about last week.
You have evidence of that? That the houses were burnt?
According to the report, it happened in Yeji, Katakrachi, Ho, and they said, well, I have the report, I have them. That's what they told you. They even showed me. Children were screaming, old age, women were screaming. Why? Because their houses have been...
Have you been able to get in touch with the security people to address some of these questions?
I don't try to get engaged with any security people because no security person has ever consulted me on this operation.
Well, sure. You have heard of an incident that involves your membership.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you have to go to the security authorities to make inquiries and perhaps also make your participation.
Well, this one is ongoing. Even right now, what we are talking now is ongoing. I believe there are some members of my association and others who have now assimilated some areas in the Volta region. Those who are, of course, parents, partially Evers and partially Fulanis, they called me. They were going to organize a press conference and call on the government to stop what they're doing, because this is indiscriminative, action that is...
So what are you going to do now?
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to... well, if that's the thing happened, well, those people are also Ghanaians. If it's happening like that, you only have to take the law course and try to see how we are going to address that thing. But now, as proposals and suggestions, let us go to the root cause of those things, try to resolve them once and for all.
Okay, thank you very much. We have had in the studio the president of the Fulani Association in Ghana, Sheikh Professor Usman Bari, and thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, too.
All right, so we hope to have you again sometime in the studio to have an elaborative discussion on the subject.
Very good.
But that'll be it for the end of the show, and thanks also for your social media comments on our Facebook page, Join Us on TV, and also a handle on Twitter, Join Us on TV. That'll be it for the show. Join us same time tomorrow. So we make a date again. Bye-bye.
Good morning.